Mr. DigiWiz.
What is happening, everyone? This is Mr. DigiWiz, and in today's video, like I promised last time, I am bringing you a Necromancer Warlock overview, aka Necrolock. This is my personal favorite build for leveling. It offers a ton of survivability and a very decent amount of damage, not only through you but also through your pet. Let's take a look at the spec. There are 4 main abilities that you need to take care of while playing this kind of build. You have debuffs, you have damage over time spells, aka DOTs or dots. You also have spammers, and you also have what is called unleash abilities. These unleash abilities cost charge. That's one of the mechanics that you need to keep in mind. Necromancer has a specific mechanic that I'll talk about later. First of all, what is charge? Charge works as rage would work for a warrior. Every time you cast an offensive spell, you gain charge, and you can use that charge to unleash powerful abilities. And Necromancer has this deathly calling mechanic, which is basically a debuff. Now, certain abilities augment a stack of that debuff on your target, which causes your pet to do more damage, so you definitely need to keep that up. There are a couple of ways to do it, but I'll explore that once I get into the rotations. Now let's take a look at the spec. Basically, on Necromancer you want to fill what I have and make a little modifications, if you will, but the basic talents are all here. You have Death's Ally, you have Flesh Rot, you have Fresh Graves, Grave Rot, which is an AoE, Life Bane, which is a damage increase for your pets. But first of all, when you are taking the Necromancer tree, you have to try and aim for Soul Burst. This is such a great ability, I cannot express it through words. This actually does a ton of damage and heals you back in your pet for that pretty much the same damage. This is a channeled spell and it consumes charge. This is going to be your main output for every charge that you waste. Then you also have Master Surgeon, which increases your pet's health. Some people don't like to max this out. I personally do while leveling. I think you should too, but it's up to your personal choice. You also have Feign Death, which I didn't take, but a lot of people seem to like it. I think it's great too, but not worth wasting a point in it. This is basically what it says. It feigns your death. It spawns all your pets, and it releases any aggro that you might have on any other mobs. It's great for when your raid is about to wipe and maybe you don't want to do a soul run, so you just feign death when everybody is about to die and you lose that heat. You also have Ancient Tomb. This allows you to use basically upgraded versions of your pets, and you also have Clattering Bones and Vengeful Spirit. You usually don't feel both of these unless you're trying to go for the full tree here. You use Clattering Bones if you want to boost the DPS of your melee characters, including your DPS and your tank pet, or you choose Vengeful Spirit to boost the DPS of your mage pet, which does AoE damage. And you also have Empty the Crypts. I personally don't like to take this. I prefer to waste all my charge on Soul Burst and Mortality. And you also have the Top Tree talent, which allows you to turn into a badass undead mage, which boosts you and your pet's damage and increases your mana regeneration and allows you to breathe underwater, and it doesn't trigger a global cooldown. This is pretty much the Necromancer tree in a nutshell. Let's move on to the Warlock tree. We start by getting Magical Affinity. This allows you to generate more charge for every spell you get. This is pretty useful because you're going to be basically spamming Soul Purge anytime you can, so the more charge the better. This is definitely a must pick. Then you have Opportunity, which makes you have a 10% chance to make your next cast instant. Even though it's just 10%, I find that This happens pretty often, so I usually take this over any other kind of talent. You also have Nedra's Influence, which boosts your DOT's damage. And now, in here you have a choice. You can either go Vitality, which increases your health, or if you, depending on what rotation you're choosing, you might want to pick up Improved Void Bolt, but I'll talk about it later on. You also have Potency, which increases your critical hit chance. This is a must. You also have Dark Power, which increases your spell damage. These are pretty much straightforward DPS increases, nothing too much complicated to know about it. Improved Warlock's armor, and then you get Nedra's Essence. When you get both of these talents and you pop them at the same time, it pretty much triggers your beast mode, your godlike, because Nedra's Essence reduces your damage by 80%, while Lich Form boosts your damage. So like I said, it's beast mode. And you also get a third tree, a third soul. Now, you won't be wasting any points in this tree, so it's pretty much up to your personal preference. But I play on a PvP shard, so I chose Dominator because you get a free Transmogrify, which was equivalent to Polymorph. Pretty useful when someone wants to mess with you. Now that we're done with the spec, by the way, I'll leave a link in the description with everything filled out so you know what to pick in case you can't see very well in the video. So, moving on to the rotation. There are a couple of ways to go about it. I personally prefer this one, which is dumping Necrosis, Dark Touch, and then using Grave Rot. Grave Rot will apply the Deathly Calling debuff to your target, and then Looming Demise. This is just a debuff, but most of your pet skills do suffer a boost in DPS if the target has this debuff, so it's very good to keep it on. Then you spam Void Bolt until you have 100 of charge, and then to waste all that charge you use Soul Purge. And that's pretty much the general plan. Just apply your debuffs and DOTs, spam your nuke, and waste your charge with Soul Purge. The second rotation follows the same game plan, although there are a couple of changes. You start with Life Leech, which has a casting time, and then you dump Necrosis, Dark Touch, and Looming Demise. But instead of spamming Void Bolt, you spam Plague Bolt, because you might have noticed that Grave Rot is missing. Well, Plague Bolt is going to be the way that you're going to get that Deathly Calling debuff, which will allow your pet to do more damage. So it's basically, instead of applying Deathly Calling to your target with Grave Rot, we're going to be doing it with Plague Bolt. And again, after the charge is full, just use Soul Purge. There is not much to know as far as skills are concerned. This is a pretty straightforward build. You have a couple of buffs here, which is Nedra's Strength and the Party Raid version Nedra's Might. You also have Dark Armor, which works like Thorns. Basically, when someone hits you and you have this buff on, they suffer damage. You also have a couple of CCs, the classic Fear and Wither, which decreases the enemy's movement speed by 70% for 8 seconds. And you also have this very, very cool ability called Mortality. This is basically a Soul Purge. Instead of being single target, it's AoE, but it has a cooldown. So good to use for emergencies. Does massive damage and massive healing back. There is not much else to know. You get mana by using Reclaim Power, which trades 10% of your HP for 10% of your mana. And you also have Sacrifice Life, which sacrifices 15% of your maximum health for a boost in damage for 15 seconds. So you pretty much want to keep one potion or two handy, mana wise. It's always advisable. That's pretty much all there is to know. I'm going to show you what pets you'll get. This is the mage pet, pretty badass. AoE ranged damage caster. You also have this pet right here, which is the tank. That's Exhume, by the way. It makes your summonings instant. This is the, like I said, the tank pet. This guy can tank anything. I dare to say that it can solo mobs. And you also have your DPS pet. With this guy does massive damage. And when I say massive, I really do mean it. He crits a lot, so it's pretty much like a rogue on demand. And look at him, he's pretty badass too. And these guys are elite. Anyways, there is all that you need to know about Warlock Necromancer combo, I believe. I will be making another video, or maybe if I can fit it into this one, I will make some kind of a little presentation, and hopefully we can decide which one of both rotations is best. But you also have, surprisingly, this build contains a number of heals, and that's not what you would expect from two DPS classes. You have Life Shift here, which basically trades your health for the health of the target. That's pretty much how Necromancer and Warlock works. It damages you in order to heal your ally. So you have Life Shift here, and you also have, I believe it's somewhere around here. No, maybe it's not this one. Here we go. Blood Binding. Blood Binding is your heal over time, while Life Shift is your heal. And there we go. That's not much to know. And by the way, the recent hotfix took the fog away, so we got some decent graphics back. My FPS is, well, it's unexpectedly high, actually. I'm getting 60 FPS, which is something that I never got ever since I bought the game. So that's good, I guess. Anyways, be seeing you guys later. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. Wink, wink. And yeah, see you guys later.